Plea agreement. This is a plea agreement between the United States and Peter O'Brien, hereinafter referred to as the defendant. This agreement is made pursuant to the provisions of Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure 11E1AC and is based upon the promises and understandings set forth below. Defendant is presently under a 3-count indictment in the case of United States versus John Cunningham et al., criminal number 82-00028-B, United States District Court, District of Maine. Defendant agrees to enter a plea of guilty to this indictment. Defendant agrees to enter a plea of guilty to 3 separate 1-count informations, charging him with conspiracy to possess with the intent to distribute a large quantity of marijuana on or about the following dates involving the following vessels. A. Summer 1980 with the vessel Gulf King. B. Summer-fall 1980 with the vessel Curlew. C. Summer-fall 1981 with the vessel Marianne. Defendant agrees to fully cooperate with the United States. Full cooperation means that the defendant will do all of the following. He will disclose to government agents all of his criminal activity and all that he knows or has heard about criminal activity by any and all other persons. He will provide the government or aid the government in acquiring all documents, photographs, bills, records, receipts, and like material in his custody or to which he has access, which will corroborate information given pursuant to paragraph 3 above. He will give complete and honest testimony at any and all proceedings with respect to matters covered by paragraph 3 whenever requested by the government. But the government will not ask the defendant to testify against his siblings, spouse, or parents. He will meet with government agents or attorneys in preparation for giving testimony pursuant to paragraph 3C and will accompany them when requested for the purpose of locating evidence or preparing for testimony. 4. It's understood that should any of the information provided by the defendant reveal any other criminal activity except those violations mentioned in paragraphs 1 and 2 to which he is expected to plead guilty, it will be deemed as having been given under use immunity and could not be used against him. Defendant shall not receive use immunity regarding his involvement in the offenses referred to in paragraphs 1 and 2. However, nothing in this agreement will preclude the prosecution of defendant for any serious violent crime committed or directed by him should such become known through his statements or otherwise. Nothing in this agreement will prevent the government from prosecuting defendant for perjury, false statements, or false declaration if committed in connection with this agreement. Additionally, defendant understands that the United States will not tolerate any future violations of federal or state laws by him, and should any become known, nothing in this agreement will preclude prosecution of defendant by appropriate authorities for such violations. If defendant should fail to cooperate fully as defined in paragraph 3, the government will be released from its commitments herein, and this agreement shall be null and void. The determination of whether defendant has fully cooperated, fully as contemplated in paragraphs 3, shall be made solely by the United States Attorney for the District of Maine, but must be based upon articulable facts. It is understood that the agreement it is understood that the aggregate of any sentences imposed with regard to guilty pleas under paragraphs 1 and 2 shall not exceed 8 years. The defendant may request a lesser sentence, while the government is free to make any recommendations up to 8 years. The defendant will also be subject to a special parole term if it is contemplated by the statute to which he pleads guilty. The court shall not sentence the defendant to pay a fine. The government will not object to the defendant's self-reporting to prison. The government will also not object to any specific prison designation request by the defendant. Defendant understands that there are no further or other agreements, either express or implied, other than those contained in this agreement, and none will be made except in writing signed by the parties. Defendant's signature in the space designated signifies his fully and voluntary acceptance of this agreement. Richard Cohn by J. McCloskey, Assistant U.S. Attorney. Date June 6, 1984. I have read this agreement and carefully reviewed every part of it with my attorney. I understand it and I voluntarily agree to it. Peter O'Brien. I represent Peter O'Brien in this legal counsel. I have carefully reviewed every part of this agreement with him. To my knowledge, his decision to enter this agreement is an informed and voluntary one. Signed June 6, 1984. Egret.